Okay, good morning everybody and welcome to Aviation Museum Society and Finnish Aviation Museum and Finnish Air Force Museum together organize aircraft restoration seminar. Can someone confirm that my voice is clear?
Kyllä kuuluu.
Kiitos. Okay, so there is the program of today. We will start with the Myrsky restoration and then continue on the morning with the Brewster 239 and Hawker Hurricane from the Finnish Air Force Museum, and late of the morning calling the Messerschmitt 109 restoration from Norwegian Aviation Museum. And after the lunch break, program continue presentation from UK and also from Sweden. About 3 p.m. we have a short break, and then after the break we hear about our friends from Poland and from United States. The topic of 5 p.m. will be announced later. What do we have for you on that time? And the seminar will be end before 6 p.m. in Finnish time. And please note that the Central European time is 1 hour less than the Finnish time, and UK time 2 hours less than Finnish time. But we will continue after this. Anyway, you are all very welcome to be participant our seminar. This is our second this kind of seminar and first webinar only because of the COVID-19 situation. Last year we had our 50 years celebration seminar covering the aircraft transportation, and this year we will celebrate today our 51 years operate the aircraft restoration. And now I think it's good to move on for our first topic, Myrsky restoration project. If there is online Matias or Meku, would you like to say something shortly before I start the Myrsky?
Yes, thank you, Janne. Yes, my name is Matias Laitinen. I'm the head of collections in the Finnish Aviation Museum, and I warmly welcome you all to this restoration seminar. I hope you all enjoy. We have a good list of presentations coming, and we continue tomorrow with Finnish topics, so please enjoy.
Thank you, Matias. Is Kai McLean online yet? Maybe not, so then we continue with the Myrsky project. So my name is Janne Salonen. I'm a chairman of the Aviation Museum Society and also a project director for the Myrsky restoration project. And the history briefly by the Myrsky fighter begins 1939. On the summer of 39 was ordered by the Ministry of Finnish Defense from the State Aircraft Factory a single-seater fighter to be planned officially, and later it had been named by the Myrsky, meaning storm in English. The Winter War, which begins late of 39, interrupt the design process, and after the Winter War, the design work continued. The prototype was ordered December 20, 1940, and flew first time December 23rd, just before the Christmas 1941. The 3 pre-production aircraft were ordered in May 30, 1942, and 47 series production aircraft on August 18, 1942. In all, 51 Myrskys were delivered, and they served Finnish Air Force during the Continental War and the Lapland War and during peacetime. The Myrsky is only Finnish fighter aircraft which reached series production. Milestones of the Myrsky after the World War II. The Myrsky was grounded in May 9, 1947 after an accident. The last flight was flown February 10, 1948. The Myrskys were written off during 52-53 and scrapped. The last example scrapped during summer 65 at Kauhava Airfield, where was the Finnish Air Force Flying School. 3 fuselage frames were preserved at the end of the 70s by the local. The design drawings were found beginning of the 1990s. Mr. Matti Patteri, our project manager and chief of Finnish Air Force Museum, Kai Meklin, decided 2008 to start the restoration of Myrsky after 3 years. The Aviation Museum Society, the Finnish Air Force Museum site, and the Finnish Aviation Museum announced VL Myrsky restoration project on March 16, 2013. So it's over 7 years project on today's. The originally target for unveiling Myrsky 14, what was the type of the register of the plane that we are now doing, was the August 2019. Now the new target is October 2021. The Myrsky has doing 2 separate places, one here in Finnish Aviation Museum Vantaa, in other in central Finland, Finnish Air Force Museum in Tikkakoski. The next one I show you to our Tuesday Club, which is making here in Vantaa the restoration by the wing and some parts of the fuselage also. But let's say first few words of Tuesday Club. Tuesday Club is our voluntary restoration club, which has operated since 1970s, when the Aviation Museum Society founded the first exhibition on the Vantaa Airport. On that time, the club was named on Saturday Club, because most of the guys working on the normally weekdays, and they had a possibility to do voluntary work only on weekends. On 1980s, the Tuesday Club started to be as a Tuesday when the Aviation Museum Society built the part of today's museum to the new location in the Helsinki-Vantaa airport area. And the working days became to the Tuesday. We have today almost 50 volunteers on our Tuesday Club. Unfortunately, this year the COVID situation didn't give us so many working hours. Now I can hear my voice. There's some microphone open. Tuolla mikrofoni auki, saisiko kiinni? After the 80s, today the Tuesday Club this year hasn't been operated after the March, but we will hope the next year the Tuesday Club can continue their work. They are all over the 60 years old guys, and of course the situation is quite difficult for them because of the COVID situation. But let's hope that next year will be bringing the normal situation. The Myrsky project has been continued even of this COVID situation for small group from 2 person to 10 person regarding how many, what is the government and museum guideline for how many person can be on the same place at the same time. But small group, the Myrsky Tuesday Club has continued their work this year. But now let's see how the Myrsky project starts as our Tuesday Club work. So here is the starting point on Tuesday Club part. There were only few original parts left before when they start the project on their site. Some wing fuselage and wing landing gear parts, and some smaller brackets and some other parts like landing gears and bombing equipment and so on. All wooden parts and all smaller metal parts had to be completely rebuilt from the new materials. Since autumn 2015 till autumn 2017, the Tuesday Club made hardly anything else but components to build the new wing and the airlars. The leading edge, the center and trailing edge parts of the wing were made from the plywood planks by the Pro Laser company. So there was quite a lot of and many more parts to be done. The component production for the wing started after the mainly of the parts have been done. Mostly of the same time on that part, that how the parts are being ready for the assembly. There were 3 webs on Myrsky box in the wing. The webs are made of birch plywood. The upper cap is laminated birch veneer, and the lower cap is pine and laminated by the veneer lumber. The whole wing is 11 meters long, and it was made by our Tuesday Club and Matti in 2 parts, which were easily to move after the aircraft is finished. So the main change on this part was that the wing is not going to be on one part as 11 meters long. It will be in separate 2 parts, which will help us and the museum staff later transportation and moving the aircraft from museum to museum or other exhibition. Assembly of the wing started on autumn 2017, after all parts has been done in the wing, and after the jig where the wing will be assembled together was made by Matti Patteri. Here in the photos you can see the first photo when the center of the wing are starting to be assembled, and the last part of the photos almost ready wing before it start to be covered. Covering wing by the plywood, starting from the middle section and starting lower side of it. After this lower part being covered, the wing was stiff enough to be able to be good to be unfastened from the jig. Then the other wings have to be assembled to the jig, and we then continue to do the same for the second wing part as we do it first for the first wing part. So first one wing and then the other wing, same working situation. The leading edge constructions can be see it here in the photo taken by our project manager Lassi Karivalo. The only electrical cable for the navigation light in the leading edge. In the other wing half there are also cables for the pilot type. As you see, there is a quite nice construction on the wing. Trailing edge construction. Building the trailing edge was the more complicated. The ailerons and the flaps are located in the trailing edge. So we need to have quite a lot of installations to be done and quite a lot of different kind of measurement checking. Also that we use original flaps made that they were a little bit not so millimeter tight as the drawings, so we need to, and Matti and the guys need to do some replanning for how the original parts will be fit our wing parts. Here is for more photos for installations inside the wing. All these will be covered by the plywood. We also have a test wing that we can show for the museum guest what kind of wing is inside. It will be covered by the plastic, but the real plane and the museum plane will be covered by the plywood. So everything that we have done inside the wing will be not on sea. There will be, and there is, original parts like those flaps, moving parts, and some other original parts, mainly by the metal. There is also landing gear, flaps, ailerons, so many kind of technical things will be inside the wing, but but we can't see it after the plane is finished. All the wooden parts have made this tie club, and almost all the metal parts are original. Some of the parts need to be done because the original is maybe too much damage, or we don't have original parts left. Finishing the wing with the plywood. When the wing is completely covered by the plywood, last part is to put the plywood on the wing roof. Here is the trailing edge is being covered near of the flap. And as you see, we first do one wing and then continue with the other wing. When the plywood covering was ready, started the primer work. Here the strengthening fabric strips are being fastened to the edge of the wheel by the ampling primer with the smaller roll. So every part where is the plywood to the next plywood, we will put the fabric by the primer on the plane to avoid moisture to the plywood. Here is some part of the landing gear. Some of the landing gear parts were originals, like you see on Matti's hand, the upper part, and some of the parts are made it after for new parts, like this lower part of that photos. So you see there is some original parts and some new parts that our aircraft company Patria and other places have done for our project. For the original landing gear, almost all the mechanisms were missing and only some wheels has left and some smaller parts. Even there was no drawings left, so Matti need to do first some drawings and then manufacturing the materials after the drawing work. So Matti had to do quite a lot of engineering work just by the photos and just for trying to find some other planes that how do those have done, and the result was nice working landing gear. Landing gear doors. The landing gear doors consist of several parts. The door which moves with the strut has two sections that the movement is possible. The door system has also the inner landing gear door and strut bracing door. When the landing gear is retracted, the doors form smooth surface to underside of the wing. Tail assembly. The tail plane had to be rebuilt from the new material because only some original brackets, hinge brackets, trim plates and the metal elevators were available. The inner structures of the vertical stabilizer and the rubber were complete at Matti Patteri's home workshop already in 2013, before the big project start. And also the inner structures of the horizontal stabilizer were ready before the summer 2015. So the tail parts were the first parts that project done, and they have been ready for the longest time since the project start. Nakaring, probably the most difficult missing piece of the project was the nakaring. It is made of flight metal, and it's not known how it has been ordinarily made. The lower part of the nakaring has the shape of body of revolution. The upper part has holes for the carburetor, air intake, and for 4 heavy machine guns. The Tuesday Club team decided to make the nakaring of 8 segments, which were bullet at Patricom using last made by Matti Patteri, manufactured from glass balls. The segment got their final shape upling lead whip. The Tuesday Club made mold of the upper part and under a flander worked to aluminium in the desired shape. So the getting the nakaring is more or less done by the several parts, because we don't have drawings to show how it has done original time. Here is the nakaring today, and you see the carburetor air, and you see the machine guns places. The mold was needed to be in 2 outer tracked parts. The third part will be made using a 3D printer. In the picture of nakaring is already being to have its shape. So just from the photos to looking a great nakaring. The next one to the presentations, we go to the restoration team of the Finnish Air Force Museum, and I will try to tell you how do they have done it, their part in Tikkakoski Air Force Museum. The starting point of the project on their side was 3 Myrsky fuselage frames available for in this project. The best condition was chosen at the starting point for the restoration work, and that was Myrsky 14 fuselage, which is in this photo. However, the frame had been badly damaged, an accident in 1947 when other aircraft taxied on the plane from behind in Pori. The fuselage was broken in front of the tailplane, and the tail disappeared during the years. All 3 fuselage frames had a number of small parts still attached under different conditions. Even the wooden antenna mast, which can be seen in the picture, could be restored. Joining Myrsky 9 tail and Myrsky 14 fuselage. At an early stage, the tailplane was disassembled from the Myrsky 9 and assembled to Myrsky 14 fuselage. The welding work was done by the aircraft welder from Patria, Mr. Rauno Pylväläinen. Tail landing gear. The tail landing gear structures needed repairs. The landing gear could be restored from original parts, but the manufacturing of the missing tuning gear to cooperation of several metal workshops was needed. Cockpit. The cockpit can mainly be built from original parts, which naturally need repair. The back part of the armored seat is from Fokker V-21 fighter, where a similar back armor plate, probably made in Sweden, was used. The seat part had to be made all in a new material. Cockpit continues. The cockpit is mainly built of repaired original parts, but the additional instrument panels have been made. So some of the panels are original, some of the parts have been made from new material. Control system cables and chains. The repair of the control system cables and chains was one of the first tasks of the project. The red wine protectors are made of Parkesign, which is one of the first plastic materials. Firewalls and tanks. There are some original parts in the firewall assembly, but new parts were also needed. When the original parts of their remains were compared to the drawings, it was noticed that many of changes have been made during the manufacturing and not documented. The oil and fuel tanks are still missing and haven't been made yet. The molds which can be seen in the pictures are needed to pipe installations. Weapon system. The Myrsky's all 4 heavy machine guns are located in the nose of the aircraft. 4 guns are available and large number of carriage and feed ducts and other mechanisms can be from original parts, but the ammunition boxes are missing. Engine. The Myrsky's engine was eventually chosen from the Finnish Air Force Museum display. The engine has ordinarily been on DC-3 aircraft. The engine bulkhead was made by Antero Flander. Also, the complicated exhaust pipe arrangement had to be made. Its ejectors which produce thrust. The ejector ducts were made by Tuesday-Club and the demanding welding work was done by Rauno Pylväläinen. Oil and fuel pipelines. The lubricant oil and fuel pipelines were mainly assembled from original parts, or parts resembling the original ones. Electrical systems. The fighter aircraft from 1940s doesn't have a lot of equipment which use electricity, but there is still quite a lot of work in the electrical systems. The connection box for the landing gear motor has been built from original parts which have been collected from several sources. The power cabling is built from fabric covered cable bought from Germany. and the cable sleeves are aluminium socks from the 1950s to 1980s. Fuselage formers and hatches. The wooden fuselage formers have been made by Tuesday Club, including the upper formers. The upper and lower formers are components which have been made on jig, and some is needed to be in assembly work. Painting. The wooden parts of the fuselage will be painted grey on the side. The inner side of the wing is red because of the marker color added in the varnish. The wing roofs will also be painted grey on the inside. For the painting work, the original parts, their methods of work have been investigated. The original paints will be modified with Technos to the extended production range. Now the wing has ready for the roofing, and we had a March 3rd this year a roofing celebration when we celebrate that the wing parts have now been roofing. We had two veteran pilots visit for us. On left side, pilots Mauri Maunula, and the center of the picture Tuomas Haapanen. On right side is our project manager Matti Patteri, and they discussed what kind of remembers they had with the Myrsky and wartime experience. So, COVID-19 and Myrsky. After the roofing celebration, the COVID pandemic interrupted the restoration work on March 17, 2020. However, after 2 weeks, work could be continued. The Tuesday Club continued works on the critical parts with the small task force. Finnish Air Force Museum Restoration Group could continue the project by the working in shift and also remotely. The majority of the volunteer restorers in the Myrsky restoration project are over 70 years old. This fact has to be considered in all arrangement. After the midsummer 2020, the working groups in the Tuesday Club could be enlarged. In the beginning of October, the COVID-19 situation forced us back to the minimum groups. Experiences and findings. It is possible to restore an aircraft in 2 places by 2 organizations. It is essential to recognize the responsibilities of the parties and the difference of the ways organizations work. It must also be agreed that will be done a situation where the parties' opinions differ. It is possible to have original parts, even poor condition, for the aircraft which is not meant to fly. When the project has been launched, it is possible to find an original parts from very surprising places or parties. The responsible people must be fully committed to the project. Future of the Myrsky restoration project. The equipment to transport the Myrsky 14 will be designed and manufactured by September 2021. The aircraft publishing had been planned to take place during to exhibition in Tampere in first part of October 2021, if this event can be organized. The aim is to publish the aircraft as fully equipped as possible, but the restoration work may continue after the publishing event. The museums, Military Museum, Finnish Air Force Museum, Finnish Aviation Museum, have to decide after the exhibition at the latest where the aircraft will be placed on display. The demo Myrsky is based on the Myrsky 5 fuselage, the third fuselage that we have, and the test wing, and it illustrates structure on the aircraft. During the years 2021-2022, it will be decided how the construction is continued and where it be displayed. So, thank you. That was my presentation for Myrsky restorations. And now we have some time for comments or questions.